Good evening, everyone. We're doing another live stream from Baiting Hollow, and tonight we're starting off by looking at Cassiopeia, the constellation Cassiopeia. Actually, this is not the view that I wanted to show you. I apologize. And here we are in Cassiopeia. We're actually going to be looking at the region right in the center here, around there, which is where the Pac-Man Nebula is located. But let's start off by looking at the closest star in the constellation. The major stars forming the W are Calf, and then Cheddar here, and then Navi here, and then Rukba here, and then a little bit out of the field of view would be the last major star in Cassiopeia, Segin. So these are the 5 stars that make up the famous W of Cassiopeia. Let's go back once again to Kaf here, and then down to Rukba, and then across to Navi, and then sorry, let's start again. Kaf, Cheddar, and now the cloud is coming in, Navi, Rukba, and over here is Segin. Okay. So now I'm going to show you what I have been looking at with the main telescope, and that is this nebula called Pac-Man. And here it is. Here's the Pac-Man Nebula. It's also known as NGC 281, and I believe it's also known as I think it's IC11. Okay, let's have a look here. IC11, correct. Okay, and let me bring up my other pointer here. Is it working now? Yep, here we go. And there is a faint star which actually is showing up quite strongly in the main telescope, because we've stacked a large number of images here. We've stacked a total of 34 images, and so the nebula itself is more or less stops around about here. There's a dark dust cloud that's actually obscuring it in this area here. Okay, and it's quite a faint nebula, so it's not showing up very well here. And of course, I'm an amateur, just beginning, and so it's not a great version of the Pac-Man. In fact, it's a horrible version of the Pac-Man, but you can at least see it, the nebula here. It's quite large. It actually extends even beyond the field of view here, which is another of the problems that we have here. So let's go back now. Oh, I think cloud has shifted over again, but we can see what we can see here. We'll go back now to the broader view of Cassiopeia itself, and in particular this is Cheddar, and actually it's an orange star, and we'll have a closer look at it in a moment. And then quite close to it, round about here, is the Pac-Man Nebula. So let's zoom in on it and have a closer look then at this region. I'm zooming in. You can see Cheddar and I think that's Navi over to the left there. But let's zoom in more. Oops, sorry, I'm zooming out. Zooming more in. Cheddar is about to disappear off the top of the screen, of course, as we zoom in more and more. Okay, and here goes, closer in, closer in, closer in. I'll move my pointer a little bit out of the way here. And let's see if we can pick anything up at all with the video camera here in the center. And yes, there is a rather faint star here, which corresponds to this guy here in the center of the Pac-Man Nebula. Okay. This is an emission nebula, so it's being excited by these stars, these central stars, this guy here in particular, and and there's a cloud of gas surrounding it, roughly going around along in this area here. You can see it, and it's glowing. It's glowing actually a sort of a bit of a reddish color in the telescope. Okay, so that was in Cassiopeia. Now we do have quite a lot of shifting cloud tonight, so now I'm going to go outside and have a look to see what else might be worth looking at. But in the meantime, let me zoom out from a close-up view of that region of space. We're starting to see a star in Cassiopeia and another star there, but I don't think yet we're seeing CAF. Okay, there. Okay, so I think that's CAF at the top. Let me show you here. CAF and Cheddar, and here that would be Navi. Okay. But as you can see, it's fading from view. So let me go there is the constellation, but much of it now hidden behind cloud. So I'll go back to this view here of the Pac-Man Nebula, and I'm going to have a quick look outside and see what would be the best to look at next. Well, unfortunately the clouds came over somewhat earlier than predicted, so I think we're going to leave Cassiopeia, remind ourselves that we can actually see some of the stars in Cassiopeia. In particular, we can see CAF, Cheddar, and Navi. Okay, but now the only place really that I can look at that's fairly free is Jupiter, so that's exactly where we're going to have a look at now. I'm going to stop here, go to preview mode, and I'm going to go to the tonight's best objects, and take a moment for that to come up here. Jupiter. Okay, so we're going to swing the telescope round to Jupiter, and hopefully that will go smoothly. And at the moment we are zoomed out very much, so let's zoom in a little bit so we can pick up more of the stars. There we go. And hopefully there's a star that just whizzed by, continuing to shift around, and there's Jupiter coming into view, and actually you can see the branches over the top of the Seagull Lodge cabin, which is just in the south telescope. Jupiter is in the south west tonight. The telescope is readjusting its position, and I'm actually going to, almost certainly it won't be able to validate because it's never very good on Jupiter. Cancel there. Oops. Go to, try again. Come on, go there. Telescope is moving, and now I'm going to stop it there. And let's now zoom in on Jupiter. We're still looking through the video camera view. We haven't tried looking through the telescope yet. And you're starting to see at least a couple of the moons of Jupiter there. I think 3 of them, but it's a little bit overexposed, so I'm going to adjust the exposure. Okay, so it's still, Jupiter itself is still overexposed, but you can see, and I can zoom in one more step here, you can see 3 of the moons of Jupiter there quite clearly. Okay, in fact I think you can see all 4 of the Galilean moons through my video camera. So now I'm going to switch over to the telescope view, and there she is, or he is I should say. I'm going to just slightly, and I'm going to switch you over to that view here, and there's Jupiter itself through the main telescope, and it's actually quite clear tonight. You can see several of the bands. I can probably bump up the exposure just a tad there, make it bright. There's still some wind, so it is bouncing around a little bit, and there's some turbulence as well. And finally, let me try and position this a little bit more accurately in the center so you can have a really good look. Okay, I've gone a little bit too far, of course. Okay, and now I can show you the view of Jupiter through the main telescope. Now, is that cloud that's coming over? Because it's losing some of its bands. Oh well. And now I'm going to try and show you both views of Jupiter simultaneously. Get that up there. Position, let's Okay, so on the right you have the view through the main telescope, and on the left you have the low power view of Jupiter through the video camera. And I think you can see the 4 moons. There are 3 on one side and the upper side, one very close to Jupiter, and the 4th one, which I suspect is Ganymede, because it's the brightest, is off to the bottom. And now maybe I can add a little bit here. Can I do that? There we go. And tonight we're looking at Jupiter. And as you can see, we're looking on the right through the main telescope, and on the left we're looking through the video camera view. Live from Baiting Hollow, Jupiter, through the main telescope and through the video camera, both in real-time video. So we're looking at Jupiter in real time. As you can see on the left, it's a video camera view, and you can see very bright, dazzling Jupiter, and its 4 Galilean moons. And that's on the left. And on the right, you can see the main telescope view. This is my 6-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain reflecting telescope, and the two are exactly parallel, or more or less exactly parallel, so you can see the 2 views simultaneously. Low power view showing the moons, and the high power view showing the bands of Jupiter. Okay, and we might even be able to go up a little bit with the magnification. Let's try that now. Very good. Now you can see an even higher power view of Jupiter there. Get rid of that background stuff. Low power and high power of Jupiter in the same field of view.